Hello Internet, welcome to Who Cares, where we're going to discuss and debate the Doctor on her adventures through space and time.
So get ready for the exact opposite episode that would be written if Richard Spencer was showrunner.
Who let this creature in here? On your feet, girl! In the presence of your betters.
Assembly.
Hello Internet, welcome back yet again. Today we're here to talk about the third episode of the new series of Doctor Who.
Rosa!
Based on the titular character of Rosa Parks, who is in this episode.
Yep.
And
also Martin Luther King is there.
we were both very wary of this episode going in. I think we specifically in the last episode said if it's a time travel racist, bad idea. I think the time travel racist was kind of a bad idea.
Okay, so this is going to be our first mixed review, probably.
Of the season, for sure.
And I don't mean that we disagree. I think we probably agree on everything here, at least to varying degrees of agreement.
Yeah.
But I didn't hate it as much as I thought. Like, based on the premise alone, because I'm so used to Moffat,
yeah.
I guess I assumed I was going to hate every moment. But there are a lot of really good moments in this episode that I really enjoyed that I think redeem it. Like, in spite of the premise, it happened to be like a pretty good episode for the characters involved.
Let's start.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's start with the positives, and then we'll get into what we would do differently.
Okay.
Because I have a whole idea of how to
There's a lot of different positives, though. So I don't know if this is going to be chronologically. So this is going to be spoiler filled in general, but just off the top of my head, one of my favorite things of the whole episode was kind of dealing with like Graham and Ryan's relationship more, and they're sort of obviously connecting, and they have that moment where I'm glad your Graham isn't here, she'd start a riot.
Yep.
Or I wish she was here, she'd start a riot, and he's glad she wasn't, and stuff like that. And then there was like I don't know, the actor who plays Graham seemed really genuinely hurt but trying to hide it. Like, it was a really good version of, you know how Martin Freeman... Like, give shit to Sherlock all you want. When he's sad in that show, like, he does a really fucking good job at it. I think this guy, to a lesser degree, does a really good job of trying to be strong in the face of grief, and it comes through really well, especially with those close-ups.
Bradley Walsh's Graham is definitely, for me, probably the strongest performance out of the companion so far.
I think so, absolutely.
We saw parts of that in the first episode with the funeral, and I think now, especially near the end of the episode, again, spoilers.
Yeah.
Spoilers for what happened to Rosa Parks.
Yeah.
Anyway.
She beat racism.
They're on the bus at the end, and part of the plot ends up being...
That was one of my favorite parts, too. He doesn't want to be there, and none of them do, but the way he delivered that line was like, I don't want to be here for this.
You can tell it hurt him
because he
so
wanted
much.
to help. He was married to a black woman, guys.
The only thing I wish would have happened, but then again, this would have kind of maybe stepped a toe over, like, your fan-fictioning a historical event. I kind of almost wished Rosa had said to them, aren't you going to say anything? Like, you talked to me yesterday. You're my friends.
That would have been really good.
And not being able to do anything about it.
I don't think it would have stepped a toe over.
They have to look away, and maybe Graham's even like...
I think that would have been... I think that would have taken the episode from where I have it with a middling grade to like a point or a half point higher. I did really like that scene, that entire scene.
Yeah.
Where they keep... That's all happening. The Rosa Parks thing is happening, but we're not focusing on that. We're focusing on our characters dealing with that. And not being able to help. Because, like, this is always going to happen this way. So, like, they can't... And it was kind of like old... Like classic Doctor Who, where you kind of try to stay away. Like, I feel like Matt Smith would, like... have a speech, and he'd be like, don't be racist, haha!
Nah.
Zoop, I fixed it!
You know
what I mean?
That's kind of a Moffat thing.
Yeah. No, I know, and I'm blaming Matt Smith. I'm specifically blaming Moffat's take on how he deals with problems. But yeah, there wasn't a speech. It was just like grit and bear. I don't know. I feel like this doctor is definitely a self-flagellating one.
Yeah.
And I dig it. It's been good.
Another thing I thought was really good and really strong in this episode was they did not sugarcoat it.
No.
They walked out of the TARDIS, and from that point on, they were in the 1950s in Alabama.
You know what? And that was refreshing as fuck. They couldn't drop N-bombs, and I don't blame them.
No, I don't blame them.
They said Negro a lot.
Sure. At the end of the day, it's still a family program. I get
my
it.
headcanon is TARDIS.
TARDIS? Okay,
yeah,
sure.
But it filters out all swear words. In general.
That's why there's not a ton of swearing in
Doctor Who. Because people die constantly.
That makes sense.
So it's clearly writing, but just headcanon. Maybe if they brought that up once.
That'd be funny.
Like Ryan's trying to be like, fuck! And he's like, why am I saying fudge?
That happened. That'd be a little bit.
Fun.
You haven't seen The Good Place yet, but that's essentially what they do on the show, The Good Place.
Sure, okay.
They're in heaven, so you can't swear. So that's how they get around it. Is whenever anyone swears, they use like fudge or.
Yeah, I'd like that. I think that'd be, the TARDIS doesn't
like foul language.
Not that it doesn't like foul language, that it doesn't register or something. I don't know.
It can't.
Or maybe it doesn't like it. Fuck it. I don't care.
It can't translate the intense emotion of like swearing that.
It can
whatever.
Because that's not really part of language necessarily. I mean, it's the most important part to me. But anyway.
Okay. So other stuff that I thought was good. I thought the
set design was good.
Set design was good. Everything, it looked like the 1950s.
It gave me a very Zapruder feel, even though that was in the 60s. It just still gave me like the rolled up cuff pants and the kind of the fashion doesn't change a lot in those 9-ish years.
Yeah. The Doctor had some good writing moments, good dialogue moments when she's talking to the cop. There's a lot of double entendre going on. He's like, we have word there's like some colored people in your room or whatever.
A Mexican. I love that they mistook her for a Mexican because it's kind of that racist don't know why they're racist thing. Like there's they explored that well. Yeah,
but the Doctor's like, I don't recognize anyone based on that description. Lots of
I don't know anyone that doesn't have a right to be here. Yeah. I dug it. I like that she stood her ground in a way that I think fits this Doctor really well.
Yeah.
It's not punch racist in the face.
Yeah. It's we're in the 50s. I kind of have to work around this, but not break my moral code.
Yeah, and also I really liked how she dealt with the time traveling racist. All of her dialogue in that I think felt fine.
Yeah. The Doctor problem solving, I think, was also...
Don't threaten me was nice.
Yeah.
I really liked that.
I liked the whole arc, even though I don't like the villain, and I'll talk about that later.
Yeah, the villain was kind of circumstantial.
I thought her discovery gradually about who he is, what he's doing, how he's doing it, and his restrictions was interesting. She scans him, she does some stuff, she looks around. Very Doctor investigative, which I like that kind of stuff.
I also have an alternative idea on how to do this episode, by the way. I wonder if we have the same one.
We probably do.
We might, but we're not talking about that yet, because I also like she took the overcoat off, and I think that looks nice.
Oh yeah, just the overalls, and it was a different t-shirt too, did you
notice? It was a darker, maroon t-shirt.
So maybe her...
I think that's her past outfit.
Yeah. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, because she didn't have the coat on the whole time.
Most of the time, until like the end when she had to have Rosa Parks fix it.
That's another... Oh, by the way, Graham didn't do the thing we feared.
Oh, thank God.
He was only a bus driver like twice. He was there so that he could talk to the other bus driver and try to goad him to doing the thing he's supposed to do, and then they commandeered a bus and he was the one that could drive it.
The one thing that threw me off that I was like, that's borderline Moffat levels of writing is what's the guy's name? I gotta look it up. James Blake.
James Blake, the bus driver.
And he's like, yeah, my late wife had a name for him, Jake the Snake. Like all black people have a bad nickname for the bus driver who made Rosa Parks get up.
That might be a historical snippet, like that I'm not aware of. But...
In fairness, she's older than me, but she's from the UK, and American civil rights, while it is like I get it, MLK is like a thing.
Yeah,
I don't think she would necessarily know the name of the bus driver for Rosa Parks and have a nickname for him.
Fair.
I don't know.
Fair. Well, she was a big fan of Rosa Parks. She had the T-shirt. So I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It's not that big a deal.
It seemed a little bit to me. The only problem was just she's black, so she knows everything about black civil rights movements.
And not to disparage, because they do bring it up. They bring up Ryan's problems being non-white in the UK, which I'm sure are just as valid. But obviously, we had institutionalized racism.
Yeah.
Like built into the fabric of our actual
within like living people's lifetimes. They're alive. They're
right. So it's a little bit different experience here. So I did get from an American standpoint, even though I don't directly empathize.
Yeah.
Surprise! I'm super white. It did feel a little pandery at times, but I'm not a black viewer, so I don't actually know how that was received. So maybe that was like that felt like a good shout out instead of like a forced one, but I don't know.
Okay, so here this is my
There's
final...
some other good stuff, right? I like some of the other stuff. Like she used the you get to see a couple close ups of the Sonic.
Sure, but that could be in any episode.
Well, I know, but this is just like the first time we actually see it spin around and get nice close slow shots of it.
The TARDIS thing does go up and down, by the way.
I noticed it. That near the end.
Near the end, yeah.
Crazy. And there was something else I liked, but I can't remember it now.
What was it there was something I was kind of on the fence on, and I wanted to talk about it, like, right in between when we were talking about shit. Bummer. Okay, if I think of it later, I'll talk about it.
Sure.
Anything else good before we move on to things that are not so good?
I'm sure there were. Like, I'd say half the episode is good.
Sure.
At least half.
I agree.
And I think
that's about right.
I think 25% of that half is so good it makes up for 25% of the bad.
So it's like 75%-ish.
It's like 65%.
Okay.
I think we're gonna it's good on a curve for that. So there's a good chunk of it, about 15% to 25%. That just isn't that good at all. And, well, honestly, it's not that it's not good. It just seems like pointless.
Oh, here's the thing that I was kind of on the fence about. I liked the scene in the diner because they're sitting down, all of them.
Oh, yeah.
And they start, for one thing, they're talking about they're playing very loudly in public, which is silly. But obviously people are starting to give them looks. But they start to give them even more looks when they start talking about Martin Luther King kind of loudly. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like about that is, like, the second the black guy walks in, they're gonna be like, whoa, black guy.
Yeah. I did like the very first scene where Ryan literally gets slapped by a white guy and he has to cage the beast.
Yeah.
I really wanted him not to cage the beast.
He would have
been... That was a visceral reaction, but he would have been lynched immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm glad he didn't, because I don't want to... Doctor Who, including lynchings, not great. Not a good look. So I think maybe they took the right direction there.
Sure.
But
Oh, another thing that I was like is part good, part bad, and then we can kind of... some people before this were kind of iffy, partially because of for those of you who don't know, Rosa Parks wasn't just a lady who one day was like, I'm not getting the fuck up.
No, it was a ACLU thing, right?
Yeah, it wasn't. She was very involved with the ACLU prior to that. She was involved in the civil rights movement.
Right.
This was a planned demonstration. If it weren't that...
That's the thing I didn't like, too.
If it were not that day, it would have been another day. And they even kind of tipped their hat to this, being that there is a meeting going on at her house with Mark. I thought the implication there was, are they implying they're all meeting, like, to get their, like, okay, tomorrow's the day. Maybe that's the implication. And nothing in the episode directly contradicts that, other than the Doctor not bringing it up. I really thought the end of this episode was the Doctor going to be like, okay, time travel racist. Doesn't matter if you fucking do it today.
So let's talk about time travel racist.
Okay. Krasko.
Okay, so I can't believe you remembered his name.
I looked it up beforehand.
First of all, good-looking actor that they should have used for something else.
Yeah.
Because he's got this, I don't know, there's like a satisfying image of him in something. I don't know, it's almost like Jack Harkness-esque.
That was my thought. I think they were kind of trying to do he's like
evil Jack
Harkness, kind of. Not like directly.
Yeah, he wasn't overtly charming or anything. He was just like, I don't know, there was a put-togetherness about him that I think was wasted on like weak
villain,
weak character building. Like, his motivation isn't actually set. He's definitely racist, but like I actually scrubbed back through this thinking I missed something.
Right.
Because I couldn't figure out like what his goal was.
See,
other than like cuz he says like this is where it starts. This is where your kind.
If he had said later, and I think it would have
Does he mean white?
It would have made more sense, because just the fact that someone from... They've established in Doctor Who, time travel and Jack Harkness are from at least the 24th to 27th century.
Right.
By that point, strictly white supremacism wouldn't be a thing. Aliens are a thing.
Yeah.
Human supremacy might be a thing. And here's what they could have done. This isn't my overall, like, fix. My fix is, like, take him out
entirely. Is this your alternate?
No, I'll tell you that in a second.
Okay, because
if you have to include him, maybe even
I'm fine with the concept.
Sure, it was execution. Maybe have him be like, listen, I don't have anything against black people. We're all humans here, right? But this is where humans start to get a little too okay with the other, and maybe he's like a human supremacist from the future.
What I think you could have
I don't know.
Gone the angle. I think you could have done an analogy to anti-PC culture.
Maybe.
Like, you know.
Like he's an asshole Reddit poster from the future.
Yeah, this is where, you know, like, let them fight for shit, don't help them. Like, I don't know. I really don't know, because it's not really a PC thing, it's a human rights thing, but, you know what I mean? Like, there's an angle there that I think you could mirror real life, and they didn't do it.
So he just ends up being cartoon racist guy.
But the thing is, he doesn't really... You could take his scenes out, and it would be just as hectic. And that's my alternate version is they show up and fuck it up on accident.
That's my exact premise.
That's a good premise.
Take Kraskow out entirely.
Yeah.
The 1950s people and racism and institutional racism in southern Alabama is enough of an antagonist.
That's exactly the antagonist you want.
They land, they get in the... Yeah. They Marty McFly it, they get in the way somehow.
They get in the way. Like, the TARDIS could literally, like... The bus that she's supposed to be on could hit it or something as they land.
And then the rest of the episode is them trying to basically round up all the loose ends they've accidentally created and spun out from this butterfly effect.
And then at the end of that episode, you have 15 minutes, maybe 10, but I'd love 15 minutes, if we could stretch it out that long, of her getting on the bus, the conversation on the bus, sitting on the bus, not being able to help her, and then discussing that problem on there, her calling them out, and that... Like, that would be a really good... The antagonist is just the time and place.
It honestly felt to me like they put a villain in this, because, like, it's Doctor Who. We've never done a pure historical since the classics. We have to have a villain.
No, pure historical would have been perfect.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This is the episode they should have reintroduced pure historicals, except for the Doctor and the companions.
I agree.
And they should have just been interacting with the 50s, having discussions, learning about the companions and their relationships more. Yaz is still underutilized as far as I'm concerned. It was better in this episode because obviously she got to talk about her
She needs more scenes with either just her and the Doctor actually talking.
Yeah.
Or her and Ryan actually talking.
Oh god, there was a scene in this that, like, sort of implied maybe a flirtatious thing in the future, too. Did you notice that?
I'm fine with that. I don't mind that as long as it's got a good arc.
She has to have way more characterization if we're going that route.
I think she will.
I hope so.
Well, you know, she gets some stuff, but they don't linger on her as much as they have been with Graham and Ryan. But I get that based on what the beat that we just hit with the first episode. You know what I mean? At the end of the first episode... You know, his grandma dies.
Yeah.
And so second episode, you're kind of dealing with that. Third episode, we're kind of resolving that, I think. And then, you know, this seemed like a cap. This seemed like a sort of a, she would, what do you say? She'd be chuffed to bits knowing that you respected her like that. And I don't know, I think that was sort of like an homage a little bit. And I think we're going to skip away... I don't know what I actually on what I saw. I didn't actually see a preview for the next one. We'll talk about that at the end, but so I don't know what's coming. But I do think we're gonna get more out of her because what she's done so far, like she had a good scene with Rosa in this one, where she talks about like I'm a police officer. She's like that just shocked the shit out of her, and I thought that was really nice. So you know there are strong points in her character in every episode. They just haven't been dwelling as much.
I understand why, too, because built into the Ryan Graham thing is the dynamic between the two anyway.
Right,
so
and she's third wheel right now.
It's easier to write aside scenes with them. Okay, interior, now we're with Graham and Ryan, and they're having a conversation. Yaz doesn't have that, so
and
if
you're a writer on the show, I think those two are very compelling in this moment. Especially, because Graham was in an interracial marriage.
Yeah.
And not American, and then going to America in a place where that's not allowed, just losing her. That's very interesting.
Sure.
So that, but again, the time-traveling racist guy, like, he basically just meddles a little bit, and then he's gone.
You know what I thought it was going to be partway through this episode, and I was so excited? And here's why. Because he shows up, he's walking around, you just see various shots of him, and then he walks up to the TARDIS, and he goes, no, and he, like, scans it, and he's like, and I'm like, oh shit, this guy knows what a TARDIS is.
Well, he did.
And then he's like, it's a TARDIS, right? And I was like, oh shit, is this gonna, like, turn out to be the Monk from Classic Who, or, like, something crazy? Like,
the Monk would have been amazing.
Right. And maybe he doesn't even realize what he's doing, because that was kind of his thing in the original episode with him, too, is he's kind of shitty at his job, and he's, like, doing things that the Doctor disagrees with. Maybe he's trying to do that, and maybe he says, maybe even if it were the Monk, he could say, if I stop this today, tensions rise even higher, and there's a huge riot, and it's terrible, but it speeds up civil rights. And the Doctor has to say,
something like that, man. Yeah,
I don't know.
There's gotta be something more interesting than I'm racist.
Because he goes like, that's a TARDIS, right? And she's like, yeah. And it's never brought up again that he knows what a TARDIS is, but doesn't know who she is or what the TARDIS is. General people in Doctor Who don't know what TARDISes are. Villains of the Doctor know what the TARDIS is. It's the vehicle of the Doctor.
Well, some of them... Well, I think... Does Time Agent know?
Since the Time War, it's been pretty much... People don't know what TARDISes are. So I feel like that was almost...
It's the only one that's out.
It felt like it was either...
Because they were all used in the Time War and they got, taken out. You have a fuzzy. I'm gonna retrieve that.
It felt like a weird writing thing, and I think this person hasn't written for Doctor Who before, so I think that was almost a thing that just, like...
You know what?
No one noticed.
Well, I'm still fine with people knowing there's. I thought Missy had a TARDIS.
That we never saw it. All we ever saw her use was a vortex manipulator.
That's right. Does she not have a TARDIS?
Not that we saw. Okay. So, my only other.
Well, there is one other thing.
Out there. I was gonna say now that Gallifrey is out there, it's possible they're sending.
No, that's not what I was gonna say. I was gonna say something much, much more depressing.
What?
That diner's floating out there somewhere. That's borderline TARDIS, right?
That's fair. It is a TARDIS.
Is it a TARDIS?
It was a TARDIS. Oh, okay. They stole a different TARDIS from Gallifrey. So there's a TARDIS? Maybe this is just... Maybe this is them planting seeds. And I'm hoping that, like,
might be.
Gallifrey's back out there somewhere, so there are Time Lords out there, and they're sort of establishing
what I think
would
be really interesting is if you limit Gallifrey's reach by saying there's only a couple TARDISes. Who has those? Like, who are the pilots of those TARDISes? Most times, those are manned by, or womaned by 8 people.
Yeah.
8 Time Lords. So what if there's squads of Time Lords patrolling time and space, looking for the what they call it in the last episode, the lost child, or
the timeless child.
Timeless child.
The CIA would be doing that. The Celestial Intervention Agency. That's the Time Lord. Police.
Sure, but
by the way,
that's what I'm saying.
They came up with CIA before CIA was a thing.
Well, there we go.
So there you go.
All right. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it'd be interesting. As far as it reestablishes Time Agents, so maybe we'll get a Harkness thing at some point, which would be even if not, dope as fuck.
I'd be cool with other Time Agents.
Barrowman's he's so good.
Guy who played Kraskow would have made a good Time Agent. Oh
man! Imagine John Barrowman with a female Doctor.
Oh my god!
Yeah. I hadn't even thought about that. He already hit on Tennant plenty.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying
that'd be funny.
Plus, she's obviously very attractive for a Doctor.
If he's going to come back ever, Chibnall worked on Torchwood as well, so I think he'd work with him.
By the way, there's only 2 good Torchwood series, and it's Children of Men or Children of Earth, and Children of Men is with fucking it's a sci-fi movie. It's okay. Ends on a boat. And Miracle Day. Miracle Day is the best one.
Haven't seen them. Don't watch Torchwood. And then...
every Doctor Who fan would like Miracle Day.
The only other thing that I really think is worth highlighting that's bad arguably bad. I didn't like the song choice at the end.
I don't need a pop song. I hate the pop songs. I understand why Rosa Parks things like or something like that would get that. Like they did it with the Van Gogh thing, and I didn't like it there either. But that scene was so good that it kind of fell away a little bit. I
feel like this scene's going to age very poorly. Yeah. Like in 20 years, this isn't going to
20 years? A year?
I'm saying especially.
Next episode?
Like at least in like, for instance, The End of the World, they used the song Toxic, which is a pop song. And I know it's a very different... It was a comedy scene. It was a different context. Yeah. It was like that was a punchline of a joke. This is just like doesn't feel like it fits the scene. They should have got some like contemporary for the 50s Southern gospel maybe.
Something, yeah.
Something that was more fitting.
Some sort of, yeah. Either nearby, like time-wise, or style-wise, or both. But yeah, I don't know. There's more. I like it. I just don't, not as much as the other one so far.
I don't think I'm probably going to watch this episode again, just because...
I might for the Graham Ryan stuff. If depending on where this arc goes, I don't know.
Sure.
Like there might be also depending on what the arc is, as far as like I don't if it's a 5-year arc or if it's 5 1-year arcs or whatever.
Yeah.
Like maybe there's Easter eggs in this that we don't know yet.
Who knows?
So I might watch it there, but yeah, I don't think this is one I'm gonna be like, oh, new Doctor Who comes out. This is one you got to see.
No, the best one of the best things in it is some of the performances. The woman who plays Rosa Parks is excellent, and all her stuff is good.
Yeah, she does a good job.
Some of the
racists are good.
The Rosa Parks stuff is all good, and the racism stuff is all good. It's all the stuff that they put in there only because it's a Doctor Who episode. We gotta have.
Yeah. I didn't hate how that guy acted. For the record, I thought he was definitely villainy, and I didn't like him and. You know what I mean? Like
I also liked the concept, which I think is wasted in this episode. He's a criminal who has a chip in his head
that can't do violence.
He cannot commit violent actions without harming him.
Imagine. So they might be setting that up so that because the main villains,
maybe
the toothy people, you stick those in them and then they just can't genocide.
Maybe
without hurting them and killing them. That's counter genocide action.
I don't know.
Yeah. Although he was displacing them in time, like...
Ryan basically killed that guy also.
He sent him back as far as it could go. I don't know how far back that is.
I think it was several million years. or something like that.
Yeah. So, he's on the planet with lizard folk.
Silurians are a thing. I forget about that. He's probably also dead. But anyway...
Yeah, there's the dinosaurs.
Again, a thing that his entire appearance makes this episode weaker. The Doctor never says anything to Ryan about.
Maybe next episode we will, but I don't think we are.
She specifically they Chekhov's gunned it by setting up, and she said to Ryan, "This is you just press this button here." It's like she explained it to him explicitly. It would have been interesting if they're implying the Doctor knew he would do that, but she didn't want to send him back in time. But she knows, she's chess master enough to know, if I explain this to my companion and we get in a situation where he needs to basically kill him, but I don't want to kill him, he'll use this. But
he's stranded. I don't know.
But I don't think that's what they did intentionally. It just felt like they were like, we need to get rid of villain.
There wasn't a throwaway line we missed where there's tracking on him, is there?
Nope.
Because that would explain her actions better. I don't actually know. Maybe she just doesn't give a shit. Or maybe it doesn't send him back that far. But
it just is weird considering even in the first episode, the Doctor, when that guy kicked the guy off, she was like, "You had no right to do that."
Yeah, I don't know.
What?
I don't actually know.
Conflicting.
I don't know. Is there anything else in this episode that we need to really discuss?
I don't think so.
If you were gonna type in the comments or something like SJW cuck, anything like that,
fuck off.
Yeah, this wasn't that. Get over yourself. I think they represented everything pretty fairly, and
No, and it wasn't in your face. Fuck you. It was a very earnest, honest.
Yeah,
look at
I really
racism.
liked it.
And if pointing
historical, factual episodes of racism, yeah. If that bothers you, then it's probably a little too close to home.
Why does it bother you? So, other than that, next week is going to be there wasn't a next time trailer attached to... Oops, sorry, the one I sent you, but... I know. but you don't really need to know that much. It's called Arachnids in the UK.
Are there spiders in the UK?
And it is implied that there are giant spiders. So
I like giant spiders.
Giant spider episode.
That's a cool sci-fi thing that's classic.
We've had giant spiders before, so I'm wondering if it'll be those same ones or if it'll be a
Tenet
different...
genocided them.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. Maybe they survived
the
somehow.
one.
They were survivors of the Time War. Maybe some more survived somehow. I don't know.
I don't know.
It wouldn't be the first time they've genocided someone in Doctor Who when they come back.
Okay. Do you have a pitch for an episode idea for arachnids in the UK?
Not necessarily. It just looks like it's gonna be. It looks like it's set in contemporary day, so I'm guessing the Doctor will be bringing the companions back to modern day finally, and something will catch her interest instead of like going off immediately, and she'll get wrapped up in spider alien thing. It looks like it's just gonna be a light episode.
I hope we get some more really good effects, because we're 2 episodes removed from the amazing effects in the first episode.
The teaser did show really briefly. It was like in a house, and then it sort of started panning into the wall, like it was a cross section, and you saw like a giant spider leg. It looked pretty good.
Maybe it's a horror episode because we're nearing
Halloween. That would make sense.
And if you do spiders right, they can be creepy.
Sure.
That makes me happy. I wonder what our horror episode is going to be, because I think this is going to be less of a full horror episode.
It had a horror vibe because it was showing like old house. I think the spiders are in the house walls.
Because the week after that's actually a Halloween weekend. So
don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, no, can't think of anything too pumped for Red Dead.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I guess we've been giving grades. 6-ish.
I was gonna say 6 as well. 6 out of 10. It's not
6.5 on if I'm real positive about it, but probably 6 is where I'm settling on it most days.
If I could isolate only the good parts, it would be like an 8. But the bad parts are so like misplaced and awkward,
and they're not even like
weird.
They're not even like catastrophically bad. They're just so bland
and distracting.
Yeah,
and
it's like you went to a dinner and like I don't know, like. The steak was really good, but the potatoes were just, like, blank.
Yeah.
Like, the dinner all together doesn't feel very memorable.
It suffers a little bit.
Yeah. Like, all the side dishes are just weird, but the main part of it is absolutely wonderful. Seriously. Just a historical where they fucked it up. That sounds so good. That sounds like one of the best episodes.
Yeah.
Man. Like, one of my... listen. No Monster... One of my favorite episodes, just saying.
The monster in the episode could have been institutional racism in the South in America in the 50s.
Yeah, that's
fine.
Scary enough, and you don't need any time travel.
Like Krasko can't kill a guy. Rosa Parks literally talked about a real-life lynching that just happened, at the time of this episode is placed.
That's objectively more terrifying.
So,
although I don't hate the idea of the time traveler maybe being related to someone that was, I don't know, like a David Duke.
I thought it was going to turn out to be because when they started mentioning, I was in prison, blah, 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 I thought it was going to turn out...
The descendant of the bus driver?
I thought it was going to turn out like his partner turned him in, and his partner was like a descendant of someone from Rosa Parks, or he's a descendant of Rosa Parks.
Like maybe it didn't have anything to do with racism?
Right, I thought maybe it didn't have anything to do with racism, it's just a butterfly effect.
Do you know what else is a scary villain, though? Someone who can't kill anyone, but weaponizes the police against minorities, which would mirror real life.
Sure.
Like not necessarily just the police either, like maybe just like, maybe it's very influential, and maybe whispers in people's ears, like, there's a black guy over there. You should lynch him. And not in a comedy way. Yeah. Like think like a Kilgrave.
That almost sounds like a real cartoon racist thing you would say. It was so what made it bad, and I swear we'll end this episode in a second.
Yeah,
it was the contrast between his weird, unspoken cartoon racism. Like he won't say direct racist things. He's just
kind.
I think that's part of the message. Is like today's racists are a little more dog whistly. They won't outright call you the N-word.
That's what I mean. I think if you mirrored it with real life right now by having a Kilgrave-esque influencer, I didn't choose that on accident. I chose that word on purpose. Influencer. Just call him the influencer even. And he just outrages people around it. It makes it really dangerous for Ryan and
See, that gets into scary territory.
No, I agree, but I think...
No, that gets into territory where people are like, are they implying institutional racism in the South because alien?
No. You can have lines in there where it just exacerbates their preconceptions. And all it is right here is him being like, like pointing things out. And like maybe hyping up how dangerous black people are instead of like... they're already racist and they already do lynchings and that's all real. And he can even say, like, I think it'd be a very interesting thing if he said, I wasn't even here last week. I just came here this week because I think this is interesting. You know what I mean? I think, like, if it's both a narrative on how we act today where people just get fucking worked up, especially... I don't mean to... No, yeah, I do. On the right, especially on the right, there's a lot of fear-mongering right now. With immigration and just minorities in general. But mix that with, like, no, it was bad as shit back then. I barely have to try. You know what I mean? Like, I think that'd be a good... Like, if you gotta do a time-traveling racist... Like, maybe he's not even racist. Maybe he just likes this kind of shit.
It was so underwritten, it almost makes me go, did the BBC say to them,
I feel like the BBC maybe...
have an episode without a villain?
This does feel like they took scenes away from that guy, right?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if maybe they edited some shit out because it got too hard for the BBC.
I don't know.
I'd really like if on, like, the Blu-rays when this comes out, if they have deleted scenes, if this episode's really good. Like, imagine, like, just if they explored why he is the way he is, that's an interesting episode.
I guess. I don't know. It just felt like...
Yeah.
It was almost like a mandate. Have a villain. Okay, we'll do it, but we're doing it as bare minimum as possible. He's going to be in, like, 3 minutes of the episode.
Yep. I don't know. I think our idea is better, though.
I think them
just no villain is the best idea.
The best.
If you got to have a villain, though, I think if he just exacerbates the problem, because racism again, that's the villain.
Sure.
And the villain making, the villain, the monster of the week or whatever, making it worse is, just as scary as them not being there.
Sure.
So I don't know.
One more thing.
We can't go.
Sorry, one more. I did like the thing at the end.
Doctor.
This is a fun, like, little companion moment where the doctor's like, "Oh, and let me give you like a history lesson, like what happened after."
Yeah,
that was kind of a funny.
You know what? I actually dug that because it's a little bit digging into the roots of what this used to be.
Like the show used to be,
it used to be like, oh, these are the Aztecs. Yeah. Here's some stuff about them. And I kind of like that. Like, I don't need it in every episode, but like once a season. Maybe twice if you really got to.
That's the feeling I got from that.
Because they did it with Van Gogh.
I also got that idea that from like that time, not a real educational thing, but I guess in a universe in which time travel exists when Capaldi directly to the camera explained bootstrap paradoxes.
Yeah. Well, he also kind of did that in Listen as well, but with his take on the perfect hider. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, in all fairness, the only reason that feels weird is because we know it's a real life event. He or now she, although she hasn't done it yet, when they visit other planets, he always gives them a rundown on the whole history of everything.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I mean, like, it's not out of character. It's just, it's just so 7th grade history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, so yeah, watch the episode. I don't think it's worth missing, but I don't think it's worth watching twice.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at.
Like, I definitely, there's some Capaldi episodes that I'd be able to just skip. But not this one. I think this one has enough good stuff in it to...
I agree.
Sate your palate.
Yeah. So, stay tuned. Next week, I think we're just getting a fun spider alien episode.
Absolutely. Are Stranger Things coming out this year?
Next year, I think.
Fuck. Wouldn't he do another Stranger Things thing? So,
that's it.
We'll be back next week with that shit. Look forward to more Charisma Saves, which is our D&D stream that we do every Sunday on twitch.tv/actualjake. Those are being uploaded every week, a few days after we actually get to stream it. So if you want to get there ahead of time, do that. We've had a lot of fun. Last session was a long one.
So, That's it. Until next time, I'm Hugo.
I'm Jake.
And this has been Who Cares?
Nobody.